Hi, my name is Candace Jones Hood, and I have prepared for you today a PowerPoint presentation that discusses how to build partnerships with families. My presentation will talk about the roles of an interventionist, what they do, and what families can do for their children that have exceptionalities. My presentation also talks about the resources that are out there for people that need help with family support or just any kind of help with your child, and how to be patient and how to love your child and help them with their developmental and learning needs. So let's begin. So my presentation is how to build partnerships with families. Building partnerships and why it's important. By definition, a partnership is a formed relationship between two or more parties involving school staff, parents, and other family members. Partnerships are important within families because everyone should work together to meet the accommodations of a child with exceptionalities. With effective communication, shared responsibility, and mutual trust and respect between the parties, the child will have a better chance with getting the services he or she needs, as well as have a chance to have a brighter future ahead. About family partnerships. Parents and guardians taking care of children are mainly the first educators in their lives. Children are with their parents majority of the day, so they have more knowledge about their children than a teacher or other professionals coming into the child's life. In order for a child to receive the help and services that they need, it is important for families to tell everything that they know about the child. They need to tell everything that the child isn't doing for their age so that they are able to get the help that they need to thrive. The more information that is mentioned and the earlier that the child can get help, the better they will be to receive help. Now, I can't emphasize that enough. I have, as a parent of three children with exceptionalities, as well as that I work around kids and some of them have exceptionalities, I cannot stress and emphasize more that the earlier the child gets help, the better it'll be at getting their goals met and their goals accomplished, and they may even have a chance to a better future. It is important to always let your doctor know if your child is not meeting the necessary goals for the milestone that they're at. So if your child, for example, is 6 months and they're not sitting up like they should, or trying to walk, or not talking as much as they should for their age, then it may be a concern. And then if they're 12 months and you notice that the milestones for a 12-month-old are not meeting the goals, that they're not meeting the goals that they should for 12 months, then that's a big concern. And you definitely need to let your doctor know what's going on and tell them that, hey, they're not walking or they're not talking, because the earlier the detection, the better. That goes into my next slide on not developing certain tasks during milestones. If you as parents notice that your child is not developing like he or she should, such as not walking, not sitting up, not talking, or doing anything else like many other kids are doing, please let the child's pediatrician know. Generally, they will ask when the child is about 6 months if children are doing various tasks by certain milestones. It is important for parents to be as honest as possible so that the child can receive assistance in those areas needed for gross and fine motor skills. Usually, the pediatrician will send out a referral to companies or other medical facilities that have interventionists that can further assist in these services. So, like I mentioned before, if you know that your child is not meeting the necessary milestones that they should to be able to do the task and the gross motor skills and the fine motor skills that are needed, definitely let your doctor know. The earlier, the better. Do not be afraid, because the more you hold back, the more that child is lacking behind. And we want to get that child caught up as much as possible. So the best thing to do is let your child's pediatrician know what's going on, and they can write a referral to get you further assistance in helping the child's gross and fine motor skills and any other skills that the child may be lacking at the time. Getting into what an interventionist does. The role of interventionists. An interventionist is a qualified professional who works with children from age birth to 3 years of age, typically working with children that have some type of disabilities or delays. They typically are at medical facilities or they come out to the house to talk with families to get the proper care they need for the child. So basically, it doesn't end at age birth to 3 years old. An interventionist basically is like the infant and toddler program. They more work with children who are, like I mentioned in the slide, ages birth to 3 years old. Once the child turns 3, they will be almost school age. So in that fact, they will have different therapists like speech therapists, occupation therapists, or physical therapists that can work with your child in school, or if you prefer to have them work outside of school at an outside facility, then they can get services there, whatever meets the needs or whatever your state allows. But either way, there is assistance. As the child gets older, there's always someone that'll be able to work with them. But the interventionists that come to the home usually work with children that are between birth to 3 years old. And after that, school system takes over and will further assist you in whatever needs that they think the child is qualified for or needs at the time. The importance of interventionists getting to know the family. This is very important because you have to, as the family member, you have to gain a bond with your interventionist, but they also have to gain a bond with you. You guys have got to be on the same page and have an understanding of everything that's going on so that you can better assist the child with their needs. An interventionist should always get to know the child for the following reasons. Getting to know both parent and child. So that's basically forming a bond with you and your child. Learning about the family history to know if delays are common. It's always good to check family history to see if anybody in the family has maybe had delays, and it just gives the interventionist an idea of what common things may be running in the family history background, basically. Third bullet is find out more about what the child needs to work on to increase the skills in gross motor and fine motor skills. So we want to be able to work on, you want to be able to communicate with your interventionist so that you will be able to discuss goals that are needed for the things that the child is lacking in. Last bulletin, you want to find out if parents have any long-term or short-term goals that the interventionist can work with. So there are goals that maybe need to be worked on now in order to get them to start thriving and growing like they should. And then you may have some long-term goals that is just something that you want to see your child progress in the future. So it is important for interventionists to have a positive attitude, be responsible, dedicated, and patient when working with children and their families. The process may be new for some parents, so interventionists have to show parents that they care for the best interest in their child's needs and be willing to work with them accordingly. An effective bond and trust must be established in order for all these things to take place. So it's very important for an interventionist to get to know you, to let you know that they can be trusted with your child, and to be patient in terms of working with your child, because the child has to also be comfortable with the interventionist. And that is the only way that everything can take place and everything can work together. It's a family bond, but also with the interventionist to know what's going on and for him or her to also be comfortable with your child as well so they can be able to do their job. Families should be actively included. I can't stress this slide enough because it starts at home and families have to be extremely involved with their child. It's the only way that things can go much smoother when parents are very actively involved. Families should be actively involved because they are the main ones who know more about what is going on with the child. They can better explain things that the interventionist can maybe help with as he or she works with the child. It's important also for families to not let it all end with the interventionist leaves, but continue to work with their child when the interventionist isn't present. Families must be responsive to any feedback and also ask questions or share any other information that can be helpful. So do as parents, you guys are with your kids most of the day. It's like a 24/7 thing. Interventionists may come out and work with your child 30 minutes or work with your child an hour. So in that rate, they may work with your child and they may not see things that you would see around the clock. So it's very important for you guys to interact with them and let them know what's going on or things that they can work on as throughout their visits of coming into the home or wherever they're coming to help that child. So even when they leave, it's always good to make sure that you are still working with them on their goals. And the more that families work with the children around the clock and help them with things that they are concerned about, the more likely the child will start mastering their goals and working on things that they may have been struggling with before. It's always good to ask questions if you're unsure about something, and always be responsive to any feedback that the interventionist can give you. Sometimes feedback is what helps families be able to effectively work with their kids. Services and support for the whole family. No family should ever feel alone or feel depressed. There are many resources that can help families in every aspect. The children can receive services through the interventionist or any kind of therapeutic medical facility that does inpatient and outpatient services. So many families is new for them, and they have a tendency to struggle with all these different changes that are taking place. And no reason to feel alone or feel depressed about it. There are places that you can contact to get the help that you need. If you feel like that you need to be in some kind of support group, I will be straight up and honest. I will be honest. Like, I was in a parent support group because it was new for me when I had my twin daughters. They were born with developmental delays and they were born premature. And it helps so much to be able to talk with other families who have dealt with some of the same things and get feedback and get advice for them. And it calmed my nerves a lot because I was able to get a lot of help for them that I needed just basically by talking to other parents who were experiencing some of the same things. So if you ever feel like you're lost or you feel like there's just no support, there are people out there that can support your situation. Just always reach out and look up resources in your area that can help you with the things that you need help with, as well as maybe can help you with extra resources that could benefit the child. Preferred level of family participation is respected. It is important that family participation is active. A level of family participation is respected. It makes the job of the interventionist less intensive when families are engaging in parent-child involvement, and it is greatly appreciated. Not only are family members the winners, but the child is also the big winner overall. When they are no longer struggling with the skills that were once needed and they are learning new things, they have already overcome as well as achieved many goals that couldn't be done without family and personal assistance. So never feel like what you're doing for your child is not enough. Interventionists and other people, even teachers, doctors, if they see levels of progress, then they're going to already know that you have been doing what you can to help the child with the goals that they were struggling with. So just every family participation is respected and it's appreciated. No matter how big or how small, they will appreciate everything that you are doing, and it helps them out as well. On this slide, I came up with resources for families. I live in North Carolina, so what I did was wrote resources for families just in my state. But there are resources, as I will mention in this slide, there are many resources for families in your state across the country. So wherever state you live in, whether it's Missouri or Tennessee or Texas, wherever you are, there are resources for families dealing with children with exceptionalities. So all you need to do is be able to maybe ask around, but also research online the resources for your state. So there are many resources for families in your state across our country. I reside in North Carolina, so these are the resources in my state. So the resources in my state are Family Support Network, which they work with children with exceptionalities and provide support for families. The North Carolina Early Intervention Program provides services to the child to assist with developmental delay and other disabilities. So knowing that they are early intervention, they probably also work with children ages birth to 3 years old. We have the Autism Society of North Carolina. They are an organization that improves the lives of individuals and families affected by autism through advocacy, training, and education. And then we have the First Resource Center. Fosters healthy relationship with families to assist children with exceptionalities. Now, before I moved to North Carolina, I lived in Virginia. So a lot of my resources came out of the state of Virginia because that's where I was residing at the time. So I haven't touched base with any of these resources. However, I know people over here that have used these resources, and they say that they are very excellent and they got lots of help with their children. So even over here now, my children get services from school. So their school helps them out with a lot, and they get speech therapy at school. So due to insurance purposes, my children could only get either therapy from an outside facility or at school. So for my convenience, it worked better for me to just remain at school, have therapists at school for them. So, but check your resources and see what's available for you and your child, but also make sure the insurance covers it as well, because that does play a big part in it all too. See, when I was in Virginia, I was able to get my children resources from out of school and in the outer side facilities. But when I moved to North Carolina, their insurance doesn't cover both. So I had to get it either at school or the outside facilities. So I just got it in school for right now. But they're doing very well. You will be pleased by getting through all these resources and getting all the help that you can get for your child. You will be amazed at the results. My references that I used to do my PowerPoint presentation were these following articles. Here's an article by Dana Childress. It's called 3 Interventions Every Early Interventionist Needs to Know. And the website is www.veipd.org. The next reference is a 2017 article called Connect Families to Community-Based Services and Resources. The website for that is www.extension.psu.edu. The next one is called First Resource Center. And the website is www.firstwnc.org. The next one is 2020 article, North Carolina Infant Toddler Program, NCDHHS, Division of Public Health. That website is www.beearly.nc.gov. And then the last reference that I used for this PowerPoint presentation is an article called What Are Family, School, and Community Partnerships? And the website is www.familyschool.org.au. This will conclude the end of my presentation. So please, families, please get the help that your children need. You will be surprised at the outcome. The earlier the detection, the better. And I can promise you that if you get all the services you need for them and work with them at home and get every bit of help that you can get, you will be amazed at the results, and you will see that your children will be making lots of progress. This is coming from an educator who works for the school system, as well as a parent who is raising 3 children with disabilities. Take my advice. It will work in the long run. Work with your child. Get them the therapy assistance or any kind of assistance that will help with their developmental needs and their learning needs. And you will see progression as the weeks go by and as the years go by. My name is Candace Jones Hood, and I'm a proud student at Aspen University. You all have a blessed day.